This episode is brought to you by SRB Field Rests. Your shotgun, bow, or rifle is an extension of who you are as a hunter. Whether you're hunting snows in a muddy mess of a field, mallards in the marsh, or whitetail from a ground blind, SRB Field Rests has your back. A local Kansas company that provides an easy-to-use, simple, and ergonomically effective solution to just awkwardly holding onto your gun or your bow when you do not need to, allowing you to have more freedom, comfort, and safety in the field. Enter discount code FOULFRONT at checkout for 10% off your order of any SRB Field Rest today. This episode is also brought to you by Oak Barn Beef, a direct-to-consumer, family-owned farm that delivers high-quality, DNA-tested, dry-aged Nebraska beef from their family to yours. You can select from a wide variety of boxes. My personal favorite is the Husker Beef package, which combines jerky, ground beef, steaks, and a brisket. These packages are perfect for families, get-togethers, out-of-town hunts, or for you outfitters looking to upgrade your table fare for your clients. Order yours today at oakbarnbeef.com.
And what's really important is that we band together, we speak with one voice.
And I was like, you sure? Because I got two kids, I don't want it to ruin your hunt. And you're like, yeah, just come and hunt with me.
Just take your time. Like I said, it would have killed a normal man, but I'm not normal, but you know.
When you said, why do you want to talk about that? To me, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, there's so many different factors that go into this decision.
Enjoy it for what it is. Every moment of it. If you're only going to shoot one duck.
Welcome to the Foul Front Podcast, part of the Waypoint Outdoor Collective.
Hey, Foul Front, it's Hannah from Oak Barn Beef. We're giving away a box of steaks, jerky, and more premium beef exclusively for the listeners of the Foul Front. To sign up, head over to foulfront.com and click on the Oak Barn Beef giveaway tab to enter into this giveaway. Thanks, and we can't wait for you to try our Nebraska-raised and dry-aged premium beef.
All right, welcome to the Foul Front Waterfowl Podcast update, content review, and migration report episode. We're having kind of a identity crisis with what we call this thing and what it really is. And this is for the week of November 15th, 2019. I've missed doing these the last couple weeks, and I'm super excited to be joined by my friends Scott and Bryce tonight. We're going to be doing a quick hunt update, podcast, and a YouTube content review, and then we're going to get into a migration report as well. And we're also going to be announcing a really cool contest that we're going to be doing with Powder Hook for the next couple of weeks on this Friday episode, where you, the listeners of the Foul Front, will be able to win an entire case of Federal Black Cloud ammo, size and shot of your choice, just by participating in the migration reports on this here show. Scotty, Bryce, how are you?
We're doing well.
Doing all right, Ben.
Nice. Scott, what have you been up to?
Hunt-wise or life-wise, what do you want? Just hunt?
The whole thing. Now, one thing I do want to say is that the last time I had you on one of these quick hitting episodes, you drug it out for like an hour.
I don't think that I deserve all the blame for that.
To be determined. But yeah, what have you been up to?
Just, teaching. I took last weekend off from hunting so I could stay home and take care of some husband and fatherly duties. Since we got deer season the next 2 weekends, and I'll be gone. All of that, both Saturday and Sunday of both weekends. So figured I would stock up some brownie points. Took the last weekend off. So focusing on deer right now, and then looking forward to get back to ducks and geese once the deer season's over.
Yeah, it's Nebraska rifle season's coming up, right?
Right.
Yeah. Bryce, what about you, man?
Well, for me, football's all done, so our Northwest Vikings went 9-1, district champions, and made it to second round of the playoffs. So, unfortunately, lost to Ron Colley. That was a tough one to watch after a great season. But football's done, and so finally, kind of refocusing my attention on more hunting, and then wrapping up my student teaching. And then me and Scott have kind of been starting to plan even some bigger hunts that we want to do into next year. So.
Bryce,
same way with Taco.
Have you been on the show before?
I think I did one podcast update on our first teal hunt, and I absolutely butchered a few
all
of
the acronyms. And
yes, every single YouTube channel and podcast that I'd been listening to butchered all their names.
Perfect.
But
Bryce, who are you? Let's give a little bit of contextual background on. People know Scott by now if they've listened to anything that we've done in the last 3 or 4 months. But what's Bryce Harrington about?
Oh, Bryce Harrington. So went to high school with Ben, and actually, all three of us went to high school together.
This is back when the Northwest Vikings did not ever go 9-1. In fact, I think we went 1-9.
Yeah, that sounds more accurate from when we were playing football together. Hunting wise, always went deer hunting. Muzzleloading is absolutely one of my favorites. Just out in the cold and the snow and the misery and having to take a shot at usually like 50 yards, and it's kind of one shot deal. But went to college out in Chadron, so had some cool Western Nebraska opportunities out there. And then moved back to Grand Island and was selling insurance for a while, and came to the realization that office life sucks and just could not stand sitting at a desk all day. And so joined the family trade and got into teaching. I've been working up at the high school with Scott for the last 3 years, and then actually doing my student teaching this year. So kind of took a non-traditional path to get into education, but
I was going to say, they don't let you actually teach, right?
Oh no, I teach like every day.
It's a weird form of career planning where you pay a college to do a job full time.
Basically.
Perfect. Now, Bryce, I wanted to address something that, as I was reflecting, not just our, personal lives that we've known each other since 5th, 6th grade or something like that, but I wanted to talk about the time that you almost killed me when we were hunting.
Okay, so I'm going to preface this because, Ben, I've known you for a long time, and you grossly exaggerate a lot of stories.
That's not true.
I did not almost kill you.
We almost died.
Was it a little shady going down that completely mudded over clay road and fishtailing up and down hills? Yes, a little shady. Did we almost die? Okay, maybe. But yeah, so this was when back when we were in high school, and we got the bright idea that we were gonna go scout some deer spots, and neither of us were really big into deer hunting at the time, so didn't know like a lot of what we were doing.
I think we were really into it. We were really into it, but we didn't have like the resources that there are today, I think.
Well, we just didn't have the experience with it, and especially me, where like my experience deer hunting was always Brandon would wake me up and say, "Hey, we're going hunting," and then I would fall asleep in the truck, and then we'd get there. He'd tell me where to sit, where to look, and so was kind of on the beginnings of me kind of learning more about hunting and trying to do it on my own. And so we went together, and we actually set up on a pond that me and Scott went and duck hunted, and I think we're going to use for a later season waterfowl hunt when the lake starts to freeze over. But so we go, I don't even think we saw anything that morning. But like we sat in a washout watching this hunk of public land and didn't see anything. And so I kind of got the bright idea that like, oh, well, we'll just go, drive around the section and see what we can see. And so we get to the top of this minimum maintenance road and had the Durango, which I finally sold, by the way. And yeah, it was
that poor person though that bought that.
Hey, she says it works fantastic for what she uses it for, so it went to a good home.
Hopefully that's just holding her driveway down.
What? I
said hopefully that's just holding her driveway down.
Hey, it's been through a lot of adventures, and it hasn't killed us yet. But
all right, so anyways, yeah, you almost drove us you fishtailed us off the edge of these, I think it was probably 60, 70 foot down on either side.
And that's a prime example of gross exaggeration.
There's no way.
maybe 10 foot.
Eh,
Either way, that one would have been really embarrassing to have to call my uncle to have him drag it out with the tractor. So
yes.
my judgment as far as minimum maintenance roads has gotten much better in the last 10 years.
It's gotten worse.
Awesome. And then Scott is kind of your waterfowl mentor right now. Would you
Right
call
now,
it that?
this is my
There's
first.
the same amount of experience, though.
You got one more season than me, and a handful more ducks.
I'm just more vocal about what I want to do than what Bryce is.
Yeah, I can see that.
Bryce goes with the flow.
Yeah, Scott, you're a little anal retentive. That'd be the correct word.
Sure.
All right. Anyways, moving on. Yep, Bryce, we've known each other for a long time, been through a lot of stuff, and I am really excited to be following your first season of serious waterfowl hunting. And you guys are hardcore, driving around, trying to not hit any places twice, and really just trying to learn as much as you guys can. So it's been really inspiring for me to watch you guys learn a bunch of stuff and succeed and fail and everything else that comes in between.
Yeah, we've done them both. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Learning
A
experience
little.
is a great way to define the year.
We'll say that again.
That a learning experience would be a great way to define the year.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So yeah, a little bit update for you guys and the listeners here about me. I haven't been hunting ducks a lot in the last 2 weeks, but I have been in the deer woods quite a bit, and actually took my wife out on her first hunt, which everyone, if you haven't heard that story yet, go ahead and listen to Monday's episode to catch my wife's reaction and kind of preparation for her first hunt. It was kind of, what do you guys think about that episode?
It was, well, Bryce texted you right away when he listened to it. I wasn't so set on listening to it, but then after I got the group chat from Bryce about you letting another person down on breakfast, I knew that I had to get the whole story there. It's kind of becoming a trend with you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I one time promised that I would bring breakfast to you guys. And then I still delivered breakfast to my wife. So I don't know. I will say Bryce has changed my mind about the value of a person in the waterfowl hunting party. If they might not have any decoys, they might not have any, good scouting techniques or preparation, but damn it, if they're bringing excellent breakfast burritos, they are a valuable asset in the blind.
And then, actually, correction on that one, I do now have my first dozen mallard decoys.
Hey, there you go.
Got them the other week, rigged them up. They worked great so far.
Perfect. So yeah, I actually this on Monday, on Veterans Day, we had it off, and I went out, told my wife I was gonna shoot the first deer that had antlers outside of his ears because I'd been hunting pretty hard, and it was about time to end my deer season so that I could get back into waterfowl hunting and, picking all this back up and really getting back to my passion. So I had a good, successful deer hunt, and it was an interesting one. I don't know what everybody else's weather was like, but 79 years to the date of the Armistice Day blizzard, which I don't know if you've ever read the story or followed that, but it's called I think the best coined one was the day the duck hunters died. A lot of interesting stories about that. But anyways, 79 years to the date, it was cold. I think the real feel was 2 degrees. It was windy, and it was snowing a little bit. And so I was up there shivering my butt off up in my tree stand. And I didn't see I saw the first buck come in around 10 minutes before shooting light, and he was just a little guy. Saw a doe after that, and then I didn't see anything till about 9:30. I can't remember when it was, but I was actually just texting my wife saying, "Hey, I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm not seeing anything, and it's really cold." And as I'm finishing that text message, I look up over to my left and down, and I see a really nice buck, probably the 4th or 5th biggest deer I've ever seen on the hoof. And so I waited for him to go behind this little coniferous tree, and I drew on him. And as I'm drawing, of course, my bow clinks my stand, and he perks up and just casually walks away and didn't give me a shot. So now I'm texting my wife again. I'm like, okay, I blew it. I'm out of here. I'm gonna be back in time to have breakfast and coffee. It's cold. It's not worth it. Yada yada yada. And I look back down. Of course, I see a buck. And all I knew about this buck was that his antlers were outside of his ears, and it was kind of deceiving. The antler that was closest to me had like a drop down tine that was like running parallel to his main beam, and so he looked a lot more like we'll just say there was some ground shrinkage that happened. So anyways, I double lunged him. He ran about 70 yards. I went and got my truck, and then I blood trailed him and found him, and he's sitting vacuum sealed in my freezer right now. And I've got some jerky cooking up in the Traeger that I should probably go check on here shortly. But yeah.
Did you end up scoring him, Ben?
No, he wasn't worth. I'll go back and I'll do it. I haven't boiled his head down yet, but yeah. So that's my deer hunting experience.
Oh, just
now I'm thinking about the jerky that's in my Traeger that I haven't checked on in like 4 hours. You know what? Will you guys just talk real quick for about a couple minutes? I'm going to go check on it real quick. We can go ahead and fill us. Sorry, it's awkward, but I totally forgot about
later anyway, but we'll talk, I guess.
No, I'm not going to edit it out. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Go check the dang jerky if you're going to go check the jerky.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I don't know why he's worried about the jerky on Traeger. You can never add enough smoke flavor to it.
Well, plus it's jerky.
Worst comes worst.
It takes a long. It takes 4 hours. So 10 minutes will be okay.
It's just going to get a little bit more dry, which...
Yeah. I did mine. We knew that. Have you tried it?
I haven't tried yours yet.
Okay, when we're done here, I'll have you try some of mine. But yeah, we were talking about that today. That I finished off the meat that I had left from last year's deer. Made it all into jerky. Tried it a few different ways since my dehydrator only holds 2 pounds at a time anyway. And just thought, hey, deer season. Jerky sticks in the blind will be the perfect way to spend the morning.
All right, I'm back.
Attract more deer to you. It should.
You guys talking about peeing out of your tree stand?
No, I was talking about the jerky that I made this week.
Oh, nice. Never mind. Yeah, me neither. Okay, cool. I'll have to go back, and that'll be exciting. You guys didn't make any swear words or inappropriate jokes, did you?
Just 2.
Oh, good. All right. So yeah, that's enough about deer. What do you guys got hunt-wise coming up?
Ooh, a lot about deer.
Yeah. We'll just mostly skip over that. Let's get to the waterfowling. We'll give the people what they want.
Perfect. What you got?
You want to dive into the podcast then, I take it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I said that we'll get to the waterfowling, but I did meat eater, so my review here is going to be actually more on deer anyway, but Steven Giannis and a couple other guys, they had a roundtable hunt breakdown with a group of outfitters that took them on a horseback mule deer hunt in Wyoming. Besides the hunt, they discussed one of the outfitters' time as a child actor, how the outfitting business came to be, and how they operate. It's a nice inside look at an outfitting business that's actually kind of different because they're operating on a lot of public land, and they use horses to get around everywhere, which is, I think, would be a pretty fun hunt. They do talk a lot about your experience with horses, though, so it sounds like they kind of want you to go into it with at least some experience horseback.
Yeah.
Bryce?
Hey, hold on. Let's pull over there real quick. Yeah, so it was an interesting episode. I really liked the way that the guys talked, and it sounded like they were also like almost from Canada or something. But anyways, Scott, do you have any experience on horses? Bryce, I know you have some experience on horses, but what about you, Scott?
I have a negligible amount of horseback experience.
I grew up, my sister was kind of big on horses and whatnot, but
that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney was really good on horses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what like
in high school.
Yeah, it started off as like therapy for her cerebral palsy, but she really, ran with it. And I freaking hated horses because I never rode them that much. I could ride them. I was a decent rider, but most of my interaction with the horses was mucking the stalls and going to stupid horse riding competitions and things of that nature. So, but I am glad that I have that tool, because I think, we were talking a little bit about the hunts we're going to be doing in the next year or so. And we've got a trip coming up, right? Next year, we're going to do some public land mule deer hunting out in West Nebraska.
Yep.
No horses.
I don't think we'll do any horses, but it's nice to know. That's true.
I get the option could be there. I still got a few connections out west, and actually I know one guy out there who they do guided hunts on their land, and so they'll take guys out on horseback, and but like they bring in like European deer, and I think he bought a Zorse at one point, so a zebra and a horse cross, and so they'll pack them out on horses and put them on deer, and then and then pack everything back out on the horses too.
Interesting.
But
Bryce, did you listen to this? Did you listen to this episode of Me?
Immediate episode. Yeah, it was.
What was your thoughts?
I thought it was awesome just listening to them talk about it and kind of the whole experience. Even as far like what really kind of amazed me was like they were talking about the place that they were hunting, and even on horseback, how difficult it was to get back there. And that's what I was really impressed about. Like they said, like you basically have to like lean up the mountain while you're riding your horses out there. And it's really kind of jagged rock that they're going on, and really kind of almost like shale that they go on, and basically just got to completely trust the horse that it's gonna get to where it needs to go. So I thought that it was a great episode. It was entertaining to listen to, and just to hear even the outfitters, their different stories of how they grew up and how they got into the business. And it's been a family business for, I think it said like 3 generations or something like that.
Yeah, 60 years, or I think he said. People give me some flack, actually. I don't, I shelter you guys from this, but people send me messages like, oh, why do you talk about Meat Eater and the Hunting Collective and, that whole thing all the time? Like, they're big enough. Like, you should be worrying about your own podcast. And it's like, dude, you can't ignore great content. And I'm sorry, but like, they're kind of, they're the in thing right now. And I'm not trying to like, people think, oh, what are you trying to, like, they're not going to hire you. Like, they don't want anything. Like, dude, I know, trust me. I know how marketable I am.
You're not scanning the internet looking for fans to hire. That's a job.
Isn't that weird? Yeah. Anyway, we'd be remiss not to talk about some of the, great and responsible content that they're putting out. So, and I think ultimately for what this show is about, the Foul Front is about, it's about getting people into the outdoors and getting people, excited and being responsible. And I look at them as a very powerful tool to do that. So
that's actually a really good point. So I listened to, from Meat Eater, but the Hunting Collective, the THC podcast today with Ben O'Brien. And, he actually talks about, so he's responding to a bunch of emails that he gets from fans and different people, or just people responding in, and talks about like how people in his emails usually give him really good content to talk about. And then people on social media are just ruthless, and they're sending a lot of mean stuff of, oh, you're just riding the coattails of Meat Eater, and you're just following Steven and kind of sucking up to him. And he's like, yeah,
well, he's my boss.
He's like, I moved to Montana and chose to work for a company that I like and respect and love what they do and love being a part of it. So yeah, I guess I kind of am riding his coattails in a roundabout way. It was really funny to listen to his reaction to it.
Yeah. The main gist of this episode, though, they were talking about the Back 40 project, right?
Right.
Yeah. That was a really cool part of it. So, so they go through some emails and go through a few other things. And then, they even talk about hunting abroad, which is really interesting, just how, so much of, I think a couple episodes ago on your podcast, you guys were talking about the conservation movement in the United States and how many acres of public land that we actually have accessible to us. And even in Canada, but in Europe, it's totally different where everything is privatized and hunting almost has a bad name over there.
I'm actually talking to some UK guys to talk about the differences that we have as kind of a tale of warning almost, and kind of get some experience on what it's like to hunt waterfowl and fowl over in the UK. So
definitely makes a person thankful to be where we are with the different groups that we have, promoting a sport that we love. So, but later on in the podcast, they're talking to Mark Kenyon, and so he's really been leading this Back 40 project. And they talk about his new book, The Wild Country, a little bit, but then they go into the Back 40 project, which is they bought 60 acres of private land, and so they're trying to build it up to not only a deer habitat, but a good natural ecosystem. And so it's kind of like a behind the scenes conversation that they have, talking about the project all the way from its first inception, and then the work they've been doing, and then even to, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, he was actually able to get on a really nice buck for a small section like that. So it was, after watching the series and then listening to them talk about it, it was really neat to hear kind of the behind the scenes view and hear about all the stuff that you missed out on the episodes, because they only get, I think, 15, 16 minutes to put days and days of content out there on YouTube. So
yeah, they kind of broke the fourth wall there, or whatever they said, because they had the camera guys there, and they talked a little bit about what goes into all that. So I thought it was a good episode. I'm still a little wary about spending the money on buying a meat eater bourbon when there's it just seems a little strange, but they definitely were drinking some of that. But
yeah, they did that too.
Which we don't really get that's what sucks about you guys being so far away, and us not doing in-person stuff. We can't do that kind of stuff, but maybe soon. All right. I'll get into the 2 episodes. I didn't listen to a lot of podcasts this week, really, as much as I normally do. Just, I was pretty busy. But anyways, the one that I wanted to highlight, because, guys, I'm pretty big into old people talking. And this week on the Big Honker podcast, episode 231, they had Herman Hearn on, which they've had him on before, and they talked a little bit about his World War II experience, about him being a veteran, and then they just talked a lot more about what it's like growing up in the the 30s and hunting and all that kind of stuff. And if you're into historical looks and getting, what's it called? I wasn't a history major. Firsthand accounts of a historical setting. Anybody?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Primary source. Primary source. There you go. It's really great to get that. Plus, I don't know. I'm a big Honker podcast fanboy, I suppose. I just like how they go back and forth. I don't agree with all their political opinions or some of the things they say, but they're good dudes nonetheless. So it's just nice to hear good dudes, 2 good dudes that actually know what they're talking about, about all things, with usually it's always touching back to hunting. So the other episode I listened to was Ramsey Russell Worldwide on the End of the Line podcast. Have you guys tried End of the Line podcast at all?
I haven't.
I haven't tried End of the Line, but I just started following a lot of Ramsey Russell's stuff on YouTube, as we've kind of been starting to plan maybe a potential backpacking hunt, watching some of his stuff of the way he preps and prepares for his backcountry hunts. I think he's out in Wyoming a lot.
Warren.
What?
You're thinking of Remy Warren.
Oh, I'm thinking of Remy Warren.
Totally different guy.
Well, this is another example of me completely.
Ramsey Russell is intercontinental duck hunter extraordinaire.
Okay, well, I learned something new.
Perfect.
Is that an accurate way to describe him, Ben?
Yeah, intercontinental duck hunter, prestige worldwide. He's just a good old boy that followed his passions of waterfowl hunting to the ends of the earth, which is, I mean, a lot of people think, oh, it must be nice to be Ramsey Russell, but he's got quite the story. So, all right, I think if you're looking for a place to listen to some podcasts, that's a good place to start. All those ones that we just mentioned. Scott, you picked up a book.
Sorta, yeah. I use Amazon Kindle for a lot of my reading, but I'm reading That Wild Country, written by Mark Kenyon, who we were just talking about. And if you're kind of sick of all the deer talk or other big game talk, this isn't so much focused on that, so much as it is just public lands in general, the state of where they're at now, where they might be heading. So really enjoying the book so far. I'm about a fifth of the way into it, and Mark is doing a great job of mixing his personal experiences inside the nation's public lands with a historical perspective of how and why they came to be. He says that the motivation behind this book was to combat the land transfer movement, as well as to get people to go out and experience these wild places. And if you're not following what the land transfer movement is, it's basically larger corporations, some political figures, and other people that are thinking that the public lands that we have should be, as they describe it, transferred back to the people, which means sold to the highest bidder and used for private gain, which I am very much not in favor of.
As we all should be against. Yeah. You bringing up talking about a book, which we haven't really historically talked about books on this podcast. It got me wondering, and I wanted to ask you guys on air to get your reactions to it, and then I would like to hear some follow up from the listeners on doing a sort of virtual book club where, maybe I have you guys on a little bit more frequently. I know we've been talking about you guys being on this a little bit more frequently, and us choosing a book, or at least like several chapters, and maybe over the course of a month we read a book, because one of my resolutions this year is to read more. I don't have any specific guidelines on that, but I just want to read more, because I haven't really been reading a lot. I've been listening and watching things, but I think, what's your guys' reaction on that?
I love books. My problem with books is that when I start reading one, I have a need to finish it as soon as possible, so I usually don't sleep, and I'll just read and read. Which isn't so much a problem, but makes it so that I can read one like a month, and then I need to just spend some time not being distracted by the book and get some sleep in.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah, I think maybe the first one we'll do, and I don't know, tell me if you guys have read this or not. I know I read it once a couple years ago, but I think the first really good book to do would be like a Sand County Almanac by Aldo Leopold, father of the North American conservation model.
Man,
I think that'd be a good place to
a dry read, I think.
No. Have you ever picked it up?
I have never read anything by Aldo Leopold, but anything written around the 1900s. I feel like it's going to be tough to read, but I'll do it for you, Ben.
It's not a dry read. Yeah, I think you will be surprised. Another good author that I liked, and I grew up reading these books, and I think I got one of them taken away from me in elementary school. Was Patrick McManus, kind of like a comedy writer. Have you ever heard of him?
Sure, I've heard of him. I don't know anything about him, though.
Yeah, it's a comedy outdoor writer. To pick up some of those books again, I know my dad's got them. You can just ask my dad for them if you want to check them out, since you guys work together. All right, let's transition out of the 19th century boring books, as Scott calls them. Mostly a dig, Scott. Sorry. And want to pop into YouTube real quick?
Sure.
All right, go ahead. I watched 0 YouTube videos this week.
I think Bryce might have got in more than me. You want to tell us what you got here?
Yeah. Well, with listening to the THC podcast, then ended up watching the Meat Eater back 4 episodes right now. So watched those 4, and it was cool seeing them take this property and bring out different experts and kind of analyze the property of what it is now and what they would have to do to build it into a better habitat in general. So took a little time and watched those, and then I was following the Flyways Collective. They had their collaboration hunt down in Kansas, and had watched some of their earlier videos from it of like their first couple hunts, and then just finished up watching their final hunts today. It was fun seeing different YouTubers come together, and then to see the hunts from different angles and
different editing styles and storytelling techniques.
Yeah. So yeah, watching the same hunt from sometimes like three different YouTubers would be showing the exact same hunt. So I watched today, had Josh with Outdoor Limits, and then High Prairie Sportsman and Duck Gun Chronicles, and trying to remember Elliot's channel. Freelance Duck Hunting. They all had one where the 4 of them went out hunting together, and they ended up getting a 4-man limit. And so I was able to watch Josh's and Matt's. And so yeah, seeing the same hunt from 2 angles, it was great to see them have some success together.
Awesome. And then what was you said you listened to one more, right? Or watched one more?
Nope, I think that was it.
Okay.
Just those 2 kind of bunches of them.
I watched a few of the Flyways Collective collab hunts too. I think I watched 2 or 3, and I watched them from different days. I don't think I watched any that were like a repeat of the hunt, because I didn't really want to see the same hunt a second time. That's just my thoughts on it. But I did the ones that I saw, really good. Those guys all do a very good job of putting together a story of the hunt throughout the day. And then I wanted kind of some different content to watch, so I actually watched an MVM video from like 2 weeks back. I think Titus put it out, but he did a video where he did a pan-fried breast technique that he got from I can't remember the name of the chef, but he wrote a cookbook, and he had him on his podcast a while back.
That's right.
Prepared a whole delicious platter of veggies. It all looks pretty good. I love watching those, seeing those guys do their cooking videos. I like to see those.
Yeah. So I think they do a really good job being responsible content providers and teaching people the right stuff and doing stuff in a respectful way, which you can't say that a lot about some of the other YouTube guys. So check out the Flyway Collective guys. That's Matt from that's Titus from Mid Valley Mercenaries, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting, Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles. You got Virginia Outdoors. You got Matt from High Prairie Sportsman. Just a bunch of good dudes that are doing right by conservation and waterfowl hunting as a sport. All right, let's get to wrapping this thing up. We're gonna do a quick migration report, which this will be the last quick migration report we have, because I have something pretty. We alluded to it earlier, but I'm going to tell you guys how we're going to be doing the migration reports here shortly. But first, I want to get in. This is just some comments that I've gotten from some of the listeners. Matt Lee from High Prairie Sportsman is telling us that mallards are in Nebraska in full force, and then he still has a lot of green-winged teal around, and the geese are starting to show up. And then Jeff Stanfield from down in West Texas there, and Stanfield Hunting, and the Big Honker podcast says, we have a shit ton of geese and lots of ducks. Very eloquent. Love it. And then Theo Congdon, who he's up from Maine, like Maine, Vermont area, says that the buffleheads, the bluebills, and ruddy ducks are starting to filter into the mid coast of Maine, and the ponds are starting to ice up with temps in the teens for the last 3 nights. And he saw 30 red-legged black duck on a local river this week, and he's out. Unfortunately, he's out chasing whitetails this week, but he's looking forward to warmer temps next week to try to get back into the blind and open some more water up. So Andrew McKellar, who he's our listener from down under, said the ducks are breeding well down here, and he is not enjoying his off season. So, and then I'll probably butcher this guy's name, but Richard Rouleau is from Utah, southern Utah, and he says it's a little slow down there still for ducks. At least he's starting to see some widgeon, some ringnecks, cans, bufflehead, and some gray ducks are starting to show up. But it's been a tough hunt this week. But he thinks with the full moon that hopefully this week will be a little bit better. So, what do you guys? I know you guys are out for the next 2 weeks, but what are you kind of feeling up in Nebraska?
We're seeing the same thing as Matt. I mean, any water hole you see around town is starting to fill up with mallards. We're getting quite a few geese. It's hard to say how many are migrating in and how many kind of came down in a first wave and then stopped. I would say it's more of that as opposed to big groups of migrators coming through yet.
Did you guys see a good push after that cold front on Monday, or did you feel like it busted some birds out and maybe didn't necessarily replace them?
I don't think much really moved around that cold front Monday. I don't know that many left or many came in.
Didn't notice anything discernible. All right. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how we're going to be doing the migration reports in the future here. So, if you are not already downloading the Powderhook app and using it to find your public lands and get some mentoring and have it basically like a Facebook or a Reddit that's centered around hunting and conservation, you need to go download the Powderhook app. In that app, they now have integrated their migration tracker. And so you go on there, and we'll have a video of this later on today from Marty from Powderhook, or Ian from Powderhook is going to upload it onto the Facebook group to show you how you can submit your migration reports. So as you are seeing ducks, geese, waterfowl, heck, even I think they even have a deer, and they have all other sorts of species that you can report. But specifically for the waterfowl migration report, you go in there, you can upload a picture and say, hey, I'm seeing this amount of ducks and geese, blah, 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 whatever your scouting report is, or your harvest report. And it shows a little heat map of the United States of where everybody's like showing, okay, we're having this much movement over here, and you can kind of see where the hot spots of the reports are coming from, and you can kind of gauge a picture of what's going on with the migration. So you head in there, head over to Powderhook and start submitting your scouting reports. Each time you submit a scout report, an honest and a legit one, albeit, you get entered to win a case of Black Cloud ammo. And that's 10 boxes. You can choose the size 2 3/4 or 3 inch, 3.5. I can't remember what sizes they have. And whether you want it to be 2s, 4s, whatever it is. So we're going to be doing that for the next, I think, month and a half. So about 6 weeks. And at the end of that 6 weeks, we are going to announce the winner. So if you submit in that time, like 10 different reports that are like legit and bona fide, you'll have 10 entrants to win this Black Cloud case. So that is a pretty good deal that the guys over at Powderhook are doing for you guys, and it's going to be an awesome tool for me to be able to use as I'm doing the migration report. So I'll basically just highlight what I'm seeing and analyzing and reading out of all those different reports and telling you guys the pertinent stuff that I think will be beneficial to everybody. So really looking forward to that. Once again, go check out the Facebook group, and there'll be a video in there showing you, specifically how you can enter it, or you can just hop in there and figure it out. Scott, you use the Powderhook app a little bit, don't you?
Sometimes.
Yeah. The best part that I like about it is it's just super easy to see where all the public land parcels are, because it really pops out on the map, where in some of the other, mapping tools, you kind of have to dig around and find it. It's maybe not as accessible, and it gives you the information right there and then, acres and all that stuff. So yeah. Well, boys,
I think I'm going to start using that forum a little bit to try and get us some info for that Western Nebraska hunt too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of, you can sign up there. You can join mentors. Like, so if you want like Andrew McKean, if you want to join his mentorship group, he gives a lot of things. I have a mentorship group. I'm not very, very active, but you can join mine as well, and we can kind of have some more, focused topics, and you can ask people questions. You can look. It's a really cool deal, and it's really aimed exactly what this podcast is. It's aligned very well. They're trying to be the front door of the outdoors. You get in there and you can learn some valuable lessons. So. All right, boys. I think we're gonna wrap it up, and we went about 13 minutes longer than I wanted to, but I think it was a good episode, and we will see everybody on Monday. Say bye, Scott and Bryce.
See you, Ben.
I still don't have a cool sign off. You want to come up with a sign off for me real quick, Bryce?
I sent you an option.
Don't use that option. Do not use that option.
It's on the table.
Okay, just say it one time. See what happens.
If you're, I don't think I will, but I'll allude.
I put it on the teleprompter. You have to read it.
It's a Ron Burgundy quote, and if you're familiar with, Ron Burgundy, he will read whatever's on the teleprompter. And good night, waterfowl hunters, and go blank yourself, is what Scott suggested. So I really am trying to build this rapport that Scott's like the resident jerk of the podcast. But it's so hard,
I'm such a nice guy.
All right. That's it. We're done.
He doesn't sugarcoat it, and that's what you got to have in a hunting partner for sure. And a podcast. Content.
That's what I'm... Exactly. All right. Let's go, boys.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
That's what I'm... Exactly. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Fowl Front Waterfowl Podcast. Please come join us on our Facebook group, the Fowl Front Waterfowl Podcast group, where you can connect with a good group of hunters, because we're all in this together. We need to act like it so that hopefully our great grandkids will be hunting ducks over our favorite public lands. We also ask that you go ahead and give us a written review on iTunes and give us 5 stars if you think we deserve it. And we really do want to hear back from you so that we can give you the best possible content. And if you get in on that Facebook group, you can get in there and you can ask questions, and you can tell us what you want to hear next, or you can tell us what you don't like, and we'll be sure to tailor things to our listeners. So, all right, stay safe out there, and we will see you next week.